Some states are getting extra EBT benefits this month. Let's talk about whether you can expect a boost, and we're also going to talk about the new SNAP Rewards program and even some new EBT discounts that you might not know about. Stick around because we're also covering major updates for families, seniors, and those hit by recent storms. You're not going to want to miss the details of this, so grab your notebook and let's dive right in. So first up, I want to tell you about the new SNAP Rewards program from our sponsor, Ibotta. I am really excited about this because they're rolling out a lot more 100% cash back offers and exclusive monthly deals just for EBT shoppers. And again, this is through their SNAP Rewards program. They're also offering 100% cash back on Thanksgiving meal ingredients again. This year, the promotion is called Thanksgiving Your Way, and it is a little bit different than in years past. It sounds like you can actually customize your Thanksgiving rewards bundle, and you don't even have to necessarily buy a turkey if you don't want one. It's supposed to be based on your personal preferences. Now, you can sign up for Ibotta's Snap Rewards program by going to lirlinks.com/Ibotta and downloading the app. Then, you just need to submit a receipt showing SNAP EBT as the form of payment. After you do that, you just need to click Profile, then Settings, then Preferences to toggle the opt-in option for SNAP Rewards. After that, you just need to save your settings and you're good to go. Now, before we dive into more local updates and talk about the areas that are actually getting extra SNAP benefits this month, I just want to quickly address some big nationwide changes to some food programs that may affect you no matter where you live. So the USDA recently announced some major improvements to its food distribution programs. And if you didn't know this, the USDA has dozens of different food programs. And I know a lot of you are eligible for those extra supports. So I just want to make sure that you know about what's changing so that you don't miss any opportunities to get help. So one big change that they're making is that it will now be easier for families affected by disasters to get help. Affected families may be able to receive both DSNAP benefits and a box of USDA foods if they need it. The USDA has also made changes to help seniors, especially those living in higher cost of living areas. They've increased the income limits for the Commodity Supplemental Food Program, which provides food packages to seniors in need. This increase is designed to help seniors who are at least 60 years old, who are also facing a higher cost of living, or those who live in remote areas, or have higher medical expenses, and so on. Since the income limits are increasing, this will make more seniors eligible for this essential help. So please definitely look into this if you're over the age of 60 and apply, especially if you were barely over the income limits before. Now, that's not all the USDA is doing either. They're also working to improve food assistance programs for tribal communities. This includes making it easier for tribes to run their own food distribution programs and expand emergency food assistance in those areas. This is a big deal because we recently reported on some food shortages that were affecting seniors in those areas. And of course, that's not all. The USDA has also announced a new policy to eliminate junk fees for students who are eligible for free or reduced priced school meals. This policy applies to both the school breakfast and the national school lunch programs. It's intended to help families earning up to 185% of the federal poverty guidelines, which is currently around $57,720 a year for a family of 4. The new policy will remove the additional processing fees from the cost of school meals so that families can more easily afford those meals for their kids. Now, that's the good news. The bad news is that this may take some time. Schools have been given until the 2027 school year to adapt these systems. So the USDA is encouraging them to do it faster, but they're not technically required to do it faster. The policy also requires them to offer a free method for all families to deposit funds into school meal accounts without any additional charges. And I personally thought that was fascinating because I didn't know that some schools are actually charging families to put money into school meal accounts. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I'm glad to see that that's being done away with. Now, they also need to make sure, schools are also going to be required to make sure that all families are informed about these options as well. Now, in addition to all of this, the USDA also recently announced that they are investing nearly $6 million to help improve access to healthy foods in underserved areas. Through this program, several communities will receive new food stores, community farms, and other options. For example, in Arizona, the Orchard Community Learning Center in South Phoenix will receive $124,000 to begin opening a new neighborhood store that will sell local produce to shoppers with SNAP benefits. There will also be a 2-acre farm located on site as well. This new funding that is being provided will be used to bring more healthy food to underserved communities in several states, including Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Georgia, Illinois, Kansas, Louisiana, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Montana, New Jersey, New York, Nevada, North Carolina, Oregon, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, Wisconsin, and Washington, D.C. But I wasn't able to get the specifics about the programs in those areas just yet. So now let's move on and talk about who's going to get extra EBT benefits this month, because I know those extra deposits are very badly needed right now. And honestly, I wish that there was something that was going to help all of you, because I hate making these announcements and knowing that they only apply to some of you. So anyway, here we go. New Hampshire families should start seeing deposits for their summer EBT benefits, finally. This program is supposed to provide $120 per child per summer for food, but those payments were obviously very delayed because it's no longer summer. But the state of New Hampshire plans to distribute that money between November and January, and each family will only get one deposit. So if you don't get it in November, hopefully in December. If not in December, you should see it by January. Hopefully that money will come in for you before the holidays, though. Montana families are also going to start receiving their summer EBT benefits soon as well. But the state wants everyone to know that families will only receive one card. So if you have multiple children, all of their deposits will go on to one card that will be mailed to you. And that money should arrive very soon if it hasn't already. And before we move on to other areas that are getting some extra EBT, I just want to make a quick word of warning about the summer EBT benefits. So Nebraska is specifically warning about this, but it does apply to people in other areas as well. Those summer EBT benefits only last for about 122 days, which is around 4 months. So once you get the card, you only have about 4 months to spend that money before the state takes it back. So in Nebraska specifically, if you still have summer EBT funds on an EBT card, you need to spend that by November 18th, or the funds will disappear. Now, if you live in Nebraska and you have an eligible child, but you don't have your summer EBT card because it was lost, damaged, or you just never received it, then you only have until November 4th to request a replacement. To request that replacement in Nebraska, you can visit the Summer EBT Card Replacement website or call 800-383-4278 option 5. Replacement requests after November 4th may not count because your card may not arrive in time to use the money before it goes away. So do that right away, please. Okay, so with that in mind, we're also seeing some extra money become available to those who were affected by the recent storms as well. So if you receive SNAP and you live in an affected county in Florida, you may receive an automatic supplemental payment. This payment is designed to bring your benefits up to the maximum amount for your household size. So if you're like a lot of our viewers and you get the absolute minimum of $23 a month, you may receive an automatic deposit that brings that amount up substantially higher. Now, if you live in an affected area in Georgia, you may be able to use your SNAP benefits to purchase hot, ready-to-eat food between now and November 7th. You can also file a request for replacement benefits if you lost any food due to the disaster, but you need to make sure that you apply for that very soon because there are deadlines for that. In East Tennessee, the Department of Human Services did something awesome. They actually issued one-time emergency cash assistance to those who were affected by the hurricanes. So if you're eligible, you may receive $500 for up to 2 people, $750 if you have 3 to 4 people in your household, or up to $1,000 if you have 5 or more people in your household. Now, if you're already getting SNAP benefits in Tennessee, you should have been approved for this extra deposit automatically, and that money should have arrived for you during the week of October 21st. But if it hasn't, you should reach out to the office and see why, because that's something that they were doing. So, in addition to that, due to the disaster, some people who don't usually qualify for SNAP benefits may actually be eligible for those benefits temporarily. That's what the Disaster SNAP or DSNAP program is. This program is currently available in Florida and Georgia for a very limited time. The program will roll out in phases, allowing eligible households to apply for basically 1 month's worth of benefits equal to the maximum SNAP allotment for their household size, which can be quite substantial. So benefits can be used at authorized stores and some online retailers, just like SNAP benefits would be, but the application times for DSNAP are very specific and they vary by county. So you can find all of the deadlines for the different counties in Florida and Georgia on our website by going to lowincomerelief.com/news and then clicking on the post called November 2024 EBT Update. And then you'll just need to scroll to either the Florida or Georgia subheadings in that article. The important thing to remember is that those deadlines are coming up fast in many areas, especially in Georgia, so you need to act quickly if you're going to apply for that. Now, even if you're not getting extra benefits this month, we still have more news that may be able to help you. So GoPuff has been approved by the FDA to accept SNAP payments for eligible online purchases nationwide. This expansion increases access to affordable groceries and essential items, particularly in food deserts. GoPuff's Fresh Grocery Initiative adds a variety of affordable produce, dairy, poultry, and other essentials, promising deliveries in as fast as up to 15 minutes. To use SNAP on GoPuff, customers must, I'm having a hard time today. Customers can download the GoPuff app, add their EBT card as a payment method, and select eligible items for purchase. The app allows users to check their EBT balance at checkout and mix payment methods to cover non-SNAP items as well. I've never used it, but it sounds pretty cool, so I thought you'd want to know. Also, Family Dollar has partnered with Instacart to accept SNAP and EBT payments for online orders as well. Previously, they could accept SNAP and EBT in store, but now through their partnership, customers can purchase SNAP-eligible items through Family Dollar's mobile app, their website, the Instacart app, the Instacart website, and so on. So that's a great way to expand access there. Let's see, what else do we have today? Okay, yes. We also found several new EBT discounts around the country this month. These destinations joined a program called Museums for All, which is one of many different programs that coordinate EBT discounts across the country. Now, the cool thing about Museums for All is that all of their partners agree to charge $3 or less per person for admission if you have an EBT card. Now, here's the list of new participants this month. We've got the Plaisium Yuba Sutter in Yuba City, California, the Santa Paula Art Museum in Santa Paula, California, the Vacaville Museum in Vacaville, California, the Barker Mansion in Michigan City, Indiana, the Discovery City Children's Museum in Port Huron, Michigan, the Rochester Hills Museum at Van Hoosen Farm in Rochester Hills, Michigan, the Morven Museum and Garden in Princeton, New Jersey, the Heritage Village of the Southern Finger Lakes in Corning, New York, the National Susan B. Anthony Museum and House in Rochester, New York, the Aurora Fossil Museum in Aurora, North Carolina, the Wallace Family Learning and Innovation Center in Sydney, Ohio, the Fred Jones Jr. Museum of Art in Norman, Oklahoma, the Tulsa Air and Space Museum in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the St. Luke's Historic Church and Museum in Smithfield, Virginia, the Children's Museum of Green Bay in Green Bay, Wisconsin. So that's the list of those. For the list of all the EBT discounts that we have found, because we go through all of the programs, not just Museums for All, you can find that list at lowincomerelief.com/EBT, and we have a list for every state there. Okay, so with that, there are a few other program changes that you need to know depending on where you live. A new program in Monroe County, New York allows eligible residents to use their EBT cards for public transportation now. And this is the first initiative of its kind in the state. So they're partnering with the New York State Office of Disability Assistance and Regional Transit Service to enable users to simply swipe or tap their EBT cards at fare boxes on RTS Connect buses. This eliminates the need for a separate bus pass, and it allows EBT card holders to access transportation for essential trips, such as going to work, going to medical appointments, training programs, and so on. There are currently 200 residents that are participating with these monthly bus passes. By the year's end, they're hoping to expand that program to cover daily bus passes for more eligible residents, which will provide greater access to affordable transportation throughout that region. Now, out in Wisconsin, some food share members are now eligible for a 3-year renewal period instead of the standard 1-year renewal. You've heard me talk about this before. I usually call it ESAP. So this is a version of an ESAP program, And it's going to help households where all adults who are age 6, sorry, oh, I'm really having a hard time now. My lighting in my studio gives me headaches. I need to work on that. But anyway, this version of the ESAP program helps households where if everyone in your household is at least 60 years old, or they're blind or have a disability, and you're not earning income from employment or self-employment, you may be eligible for this. So basically, it's for people whose income usually comes from disability or other programs. It's pretty stable. They don't have a lot of changes to report. Those are the households that typically benefit from these kinds of programs. Now, under the rules for the food share one, children can be a part of the household, but no household members can be migrant workers. If you qualify, your renewal date will have been automatically updated, and you will receive a letter with those details. You can also check the updated renewal date in your Access or My Access account. And those who qualify will no longer need to complete 6-month report forms, which is great. Because I know a lot of times when people have their benefits stop, it's because of paperwork issues. So I'm always really grateful for any state programs that cut down on the amount of paperwork that you guys have to do. Okay. The West Virginia Department of Human Services received a $331,424 grant to improve SNAP oversight and reduce fraud. This is something we're seeing in a lot of different states right now. I announced several states that got a grant like this a little while back, but I guess this one, just their press release came in late. So the state plans to use these funds to track cases more efficiently, streamline investigations, and make it easier to handle claims and evidence. West Virginia also plans to launch an additional program to help SNAP recipients understand what counts as fraud and the penalties for that fraud so that they can help people avoid some of the common mistakes. Of course, we've also seen a continued surge in EBT fraud around the country. I feel like I've talked about this so much over the last several years that I don't want to keep boring you with it because I just keep seeing these reports of, record fraud, surges in fraud, but it's been surging pretty much continuously for years now. But Oklahoma and Georgia seem to be especially hard hit this month. But there is, of course, some good news on the horizon. More secure EBT cards are on their way eventually. California is set to roll out their chip-enabled EBT cards in mid-January, which will make it harder for benefits to be stolen through skimming or card cloning there. And for the rest of the country, the USDA is working to eventually transition everyone to chip cards. I believe they hit a milestone in August, but there's still no set timeline yet for when that's going to happen. And until then, it's a good idea to keep a close watch on your EBT balance, report any suspicious activity right away, make sure to change your PIN often, and keep those out-of-state transactions blocked if you can. Of course, I'll keep you updated as new security measures roll out as well. Now, I know I mentioned this recently in another video, but I also just want to remind our Massachusetts viewers that a major change is coming to the HIP program next month. Starting on December 1st, the Healthy Incentives Program will change how much free food you can get with your SNAP benefits. This program provides a monthly allowance that can only be spent at farmers markets, farm stands, or CSA farm shares. And until now, that benefit has been worth up to $80 a month based on your household size. Now, I know I had somebody correct me on the last video and say that the amount was actually $40, but I went back in and fact-checked it again. And the state government says that some households were receiving up to $80 a month. So that number is correct. But effective December 1st, that allotment will be dropped to just $20 for all households, regardless of size. Some families will lose up to $60 a month in grocery money because of this change. And the change is because state lawmakers slashed the budget, and there isn't enough money to keep the program going at the previous rates. So if you would like to see that program funded at its previous levels, please contact your state legislators and express your support for the Healthy Incentives Program and ask them to bring that back at the previous levels. And just to wrap up on a more positive note, a new report found that more people than ever are accessing the SNAP benefits that they are entitled to. In fact, they said that it's the highest participation rate in almost 50 years. So nearly all eligible children who are eligible are receiving SNAP benefits now, which is good to know that those children are able to access that. But only about 55% of eligible seniors are enrolled. They also noticed that enrollment is higher in rural areas at about 94% than it is in urban areas where it's only about 86%. But that's all the EBT news I have for you in today's video. But if you want to see something Truly crazy? Head over to our secondary channel called Fast Facts by Low Income Relief and take a look at the most expensive EBT eligible items we found on Amazon this month. It's pretty shocking. I found a few things over $1,000 on there, and I can't wait to hear what you think about all of that. But we're going to put that video up on our other channel, so head over there and I will see you there.